Right. Okay. So welcome everyone to the Solar Chat. Nevada Desert Skies. We were wondering who you were. It's nice to see you.
You're on mute, mate.
You're on mute.
Unmute. Oh, there we go.
Yep.
I'm Astro Bees on the forum.
All
Okay.
right. Hello. Nice to see you.
First time joining this meeting.
Oh, that's great. Marvelous. It's nice to see new faces and put faces to people that we see, like on the forum, but then we don't know who, don't know them personally. So it's really lovely to see you.
I'm in Las Vegas.
Oh, nice.
Hot today.
Is it nice and sunny there?
It is sunny today. I was going to do some solar imaging, but it's extremely windy today. We've got about 20-mile-an-hour winds, so that would make it a little difficult.
Mm-hmm. I bet it's always sunny there though.
Not as sunny as it used to be, but yeah, we do have a lot of sun here.
More than we.
Happy anniversary, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Coming up on 30 myself.
Oh, brilliant. We're about the same age then, aren't we?
I'll be 60 in August.
Oh, well, I'm not quite there yet then.
I got married much later. I was 30 when I got married.
Anyway, the forum news is there's the Solar Chat, well, the Charlie Brait's fundraiser, which is going very, very slow again, which is a shame. I think everybody seems short of cash. But we do need to be able to keep the forum going if we can. And it is surprisingly expensive. I didn't realize how much it cost, to keep a forum going, of this size. And we're pretty, free with like all of the gigabytes that you can upload and everything like that. And I think we've got an important solar resource there. So I think it's, like important to keep going. So if we can sort of like chip in just, a few pounds, bucks, dollars, whatever it is that you've got, it really would be appreciated. I'm sure Stephen would really appreciate it. And, I think it's really important that we keep, science going, in times like we are at the moment. I think it's more than ever we need to keep science and the truth and keeping, everything going in that way. So that's enough for that. But then the big topic of this chat tonight was Stuart asked it last week, and he wanted to know what you all did with your large, vast gigabytes of data. And I know that Ralph must create trillions of terabytes worth of data, so I'm sure he has something to say. So it was just a general discussion on that. I think Nick Spencer put up on the forum that she deletes everything, even like her nice images, she puts them on Flickr and then deletes it off a hard drive. It's like, I wouldn't do that, but because you never know, what happens if Flickr just suddenly went bankrupt or something and just disappeared? It would take all of your images with it. That just scares me. So I always keep personally, a copy of all of my, favorite images. But yeah, I do delete a lot of the raw data. So it was just sort of like to get an idea of what all you guys do with your data.
Well, if I can start with all of mine, once I've made an animation or an image and I save the TIFF, one goes on to an external hard drive, one goes on to AstroBin. Some of them go on to Flickr, but most go into AstroBin. Because, they're a pretty good deal. If you go for the maximum, which is $60 a year, $60 a year, you can store as much data as you want to on those. And since most of mine are animations, they're typically huge. So that's where most of them go. And once I've gotten the animation done, I just save the GIF or the MP4, whatever form it takes, and all of the raw ones, which is where, you know, most of the data is, I trace those.
So maybe we could start, you know, at the scope and the camera. We obviously record either SCR or AVI files. What do people do with those files? They have absolute raw data files. Obviously, we stack them, we process them, we end up with an image, and we store that either as TIFF, PNG, or whatever your favorite format is. But the intermediate file, the file you capture at scope, do you guys save those video files or do you dump them? I
Dump them.
I
Stuart.
just dump them. Once I've used them,
Yeah.
I dump them. Does everybody the same page?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, on a typical day, I'll probably use a terabyte of data. No point keeping it. It's you just have a room full of hard drives. It's just not practical.
Yeah.
And I've really found over the years, I have kept the odd bit, and I've gone back and revisited, and I sort of look at it for about 30 seconds and go, so delete.
Yeah, you end up deleting it anyway.
And of course, I have a record like Warren on Astrobin.
Ah, right, okay.
And I keep the odd TIFF here and there, but it's probably only about maybe a terabyte over the last 10 years.
I think when the sun was particularly active a few months ago, which, by the way, has been the most dreadful time the last 6 months for me trying to image the sun. I live, as you know, on the water, and being so close to the water, it's just been absolutely terrible. So I've done very little compared to what Ralph has done. Same as Martin hasn't done very much either this year because he lives not far from me. But when it was particularly active, Ralph was contacted, and Ralph will say more on this, but he was contacted by a professional solar astronomer to actually send him some of those SIR files because he was doing some work on the sun, and I sent some down to Ralph as well. This is going back about a year ago, and so at that time we did save some of our SIR files, and they were put onto a 8 terabyte hard drive, I think, Ralph, that was sent to Ralph by that solar astronomer. So
yeah, I think there was
case,
a couple of eights. Yeah.
Yeah, in that case, that data was actually saved and sent. But I'm like you guys. I do the same. I capture in SIR files. I process my animation, end up with a GIF file. If I'm happy enough, I've become a bit more critical of myself now as to what I post and don't post. And then if it's worth posting, I'll post it. Otherwise, I do keep it. I keep a day by day record of what I do, which I can go back over the last 5 years and look at everything I did on each day. I also keep the weather records for that day as to cloud, the telescopius. I have my own solar scintillation monitor record, so I can actually go back and see what the weather was like. And again, this year, when I look back on the last 3 years in particular, this year has just been from about November till now. It's just been an absolute disaster as far as weather goes. So, but yeah, I dispose of everything. Of all the SIR files, I should say, and I go onto Astrobin, and I might put some mosaics that I do onto another local site here in Brisbane, and that's pretty much what I do with it.
So on Astrobin, are they TIFFs other than new animations, which you
they can be GIFs or MP4s that I put onto Astrobin. I think Warren and Ralph do the same. So if they're a big GIF, you convert them to an MP4, and it takes up less space and obviously loads a lot quicker.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. But
I still save the GIFs though.
Yeah.
I'll post an MP4 because it uploads faster, but I'll save the full-size GIF as well. I have a question regarding SEER and AVI. Is there a big difference in the quality if you're saving, SEER over an AVI, because I like AVI because when I'm taking an animation and maybe a cloud goes by, I can quickly go back and look at an AVI and see, okay, did it really interfere or not? A SEER, you can't, pop it up on a video that I can tell of to
Yeah.
just check it.
Yeah.
There's SERPlayer.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, SerPlayer.
Okay.
SerPlayer.
Yeah, it's called SERPlayer.
But is there a difference between a SEER and an AVI in quality?
Yeah, but apparently there is in the dynamic range. Quite a
Yeah.
huge difference.
More dynamic range?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're grazing.
Even though they're both 8-bit?
I usually,
Yeah.
well, I personally use 16-bit
Oh, okay.
files because I have noticed in the past that particularly it's not so much in hydrogen alpha, but in white light, I've found that the dynamic range, in the actual umbra and the penumbra is, quite huge. And I found that, I could, stretch it a lot more when I was using like the 16-bit compared to like the 8-bit one. I know a lot of other people say, oh, well, when it's gone through, like stacking software, it's different anyway. Even if you take an 8-bit, it comes out as 12-bit or something. But I have noticed a difference in the, like the dynamic range of that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's quite correct. Quite correct. And in fact, Warren, if you want somebody to give you an in-depth explanation, Mark Townley's the man.
Yeah.
He knows it absolutely backwards, but I believe everything he says. And what I do, all my still images are 16-bit, but because of the file sizes, I have to do all the animations at 8-bit. Otherwise, nobody can download the things. That's the biggest problem. Until somebody finds a better way to present these at a smaller file size, we're stuck with it, unfortunately.
Yeah, your files double and your frame rate drops in half.
Yeah, and also the speed that you play the animation back.
Oh, yeah.
If you,
It's like,
yeah. So
so,
from no delay, you might have a 50 megabyte animation, and you go to 0.01 of a second, it's up to 128.
yeah.
And you go slower than that, it's even worse.
Yeah.
So I've slowly come back and back and back and back. And the only thing I can do now is stop. I'm up against the back wall. I can't get it any slower with what I've got. So if somebody knows of another way, that'd be good.
No, saving, doing animations, if you're doing 16-bit, your computer's going to be full in,
Brutal.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
And sorry, just to clarify, does Astrobin allow you to save the video as well? Because it says it's unlimited on everything, unlimited number of files, unlimited file size. So is it? Why not? I mean, if the system allows it, why not put up the 1 terabyte of video data, or does it allow the videos?
It'll take forever for someone to view it.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
anything over.
Take you forever to upload it as well.
Yeah.
Okay. I suppose more as an archive. If it's free, and
Okay. As an archive, but that's not really what I mean. I think the first consideration is that you want to be able to, particularly if it's a video, you want to be able to present the video animation so that people can download it to view it.
Yeah.
So if it takes a long time, but I think if
You're breaking up, Peter.
Yeah. Some of you so an M4. Seem to have any loss.
Peter must be
you can do
trying
that
to
through
upload one of those 1 terabyte files.
He's uploading a file.
Is
I know Alexander made a comment on one of mine. She said, that took forever, but it was nice once I got it.
Yeah.
I think it's particularly hard when you've got virtually no internet. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I'm away from home, there's virtually no internet whatsoever, and half of Solarchat I just can't load at all.
And I'm wondering, in Astrobin, can you upload a file and decide if it's visible to the public or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. Yeah.
There's a staging area where you can put stuff that you don't want anyone, until you publish it, no one can see it.
Yeah, but they're not going to let you, Astrobin's not going to let you upload 1 terabyte files. They say it's unlimited, but
yeah,
I do, nighttime astrophotography as well. And I've uploaded some really large files. And you get a message, a warning. Are you sure you really want to upload this
Right.
file? Nobody's going to be able to download it. So I think they would cut you off if you started taking advantage of their unlimited capabilities.
Yeah, I think the largest one I've ever put on was like 230 megabyte, something like that. It was an animation. I mean, it took it, but I ended up making an MP4 because you put it up there and you're going, okay, when's it going to move?
Right.
Can I just say, Salvatore has a brilliant video that he did. He was on some forum about a year ago, and he got up early in the morning and he did he's the owner of Astrobin, and he did a really good background as to all of the hidden features and things that you can do with Astrobin. There's way more there than I ever imagined, and so I just had a thought then, Alexander. I wonder if it would be worth contacting Salvatore, see if he would like to give a presentation at one of our meetings about
Okay.
Astrobin and how we could use that
Sounds good.
better.
Well, I wondered if Stephen could charge for just the forum. I know he's limited on what he can do with the Charlie Bates, but I wonder if is there a way for him to, I mean, Astrobin, I think your lowest level's like $30 a year, and the highest is 60, and then it's unlimited. So it's not like, okay, this is going to kill anybody, but you've got how many members on Solarchat? If you charge them $10, you've got, close to 10 grand.
Yeah, I don't know. Would people, I'm not so sure, like, because forums are like free and easy to get information from. Wouldn't that sort of like take away that freedom that we have if you had to charge for it, and then it became sort of like a closed group in a way?
There's an awful lot of discussion about this on cloudy nights at the moment because of what's happening in the US with tariffs and so forth. So there's a lot of discussion about whether, but there is a donate button there, and I think that
Right.
for a lot of people are donating. I guess if it's not, it'd be interesting to try it. A button where you can just donate to be part of Astrobin. A suggested minimum donation of $10 or a suggested donation of $10 US, however we want it to be worded, and just let it run for a month and just see what happens. And then by the time we get to the next meeting, we say, okay, well, 5 people joined, or, or 500 people joined, and this is great. So we can run it for another year, a very similar thing happened as well with Ice in Space in Australia. The owner of that site, it was starting to cost him quite a bit of money to run that site each year. So he did put up a post saying, I might have to close this down. And a lot of people came back and said, look, we've just hit the donate button. So a heap of money must have poured in because it's still going.
Yeah.
So I guess if it's how we approach it, I mean, if it's I guess a way I look at things is like this. If you want to buy, for a long time doing the supernova search, I used to buy the SkyX software because it was pretty integral in what we were doing in being able to do scripts and a whole range of things. And for a long time, you could buy the Sky software for X amount of dollars, and then they went to $100 US subscription per year if you wanted to keep the upgrades going. When I got into solar astronomy, and you look at something like SharpCap, the guy who runs SharpCap just charges something like, I don't know, £10 a year or something like that. And I would imagine it's a lot easier for me to pay $10 a year, £10 a year, $10, whatever you like, to have SharpCap, and I'll keep that going forever at that price. But at $100 a year, you start going, I don't think so. I'm not really keen on doing that anymore. I don't need it anymore. So I guess it depends on what the price point is. If it was $10 a year and it was a donation to start with to see what the response was, perhaps that could be done that way. Keep it cheap, keep it as a donation, and you're right. I think what Warren's saying makes sense. But, it could be. It's up to Stephen, obviously, but I reckon if there was a donate now, just hit the donate button and you
But
can
there
put.
is, I think.
Oh, is there?
There
Yeah.
is.
Oh, no, but I mean,
there is.
to keep the forum going.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, because above the
yeah.
spod, if you look at above the spod, there's always that QR code thing, I think, isn't there?
Yeah.
I need to have a look now.
No, it's just a little gold button that says make a donation. I just went to the website too looking for it, and it actually took me quite a bit of looking to find it. It needs to be a little more prominent, I think, because I've never noticed it there before.
Let's have a look, because thing is, this is the problem, you get blind. Oh, I see. Yes, at the top left-hand corner, it's
Yes.
make a donation, isn't it, above the spot? But it used to be right where the advertising was.
It's
Oh no, underneath.
It's at the bottom.
Photo of the day.
underneath, yeah.
Yeah, it's underneath. Yes,
Yeah.
it is there.
But should it differentiate between if you want to donate, like if you wanted to make a donation to keep the site alive, the costs that Stephen needs to physically run the site, as against another donation that might help a school somewhere, something like that? Should there be a differentiation, or just one button? I guess
one button, because it all goes into the same pot, really.
Okay.
So
I suppose I'll ask the question: how many active members would we have that would be willing to pay? I mean, we'll have members on the forum, but then how many are really active to the point where a fee is viable, where they're not left with a choice, like you had, Peter, on do I stop renewing the software or not? I suspect the number might be relatively low. And I think Stephen alluded to costs at the last meeting, which are quite high.
Right.
Yeah, I think
that's the challenge.
I think it's something about $4,000 or something, but then it's for like 3 years. So
Okay.
You can make it an option also where the forum is free to access, but and free to even post comments. But if you want to post images or videos, you have to pay a certain fee. That's an option.
That's interesting, because you think about how many people actually post.
not
20
many.
of us, maybe.
Yeah, I think most people are sort of like secret browsers, aren't they?
Yeah, I wonder. I want to go. What do you 2,000 other people do?
Sit under rain
look at the
clouds.
site. I look at the page probably every other day, but I only post maybe once a month, if that. Depends on my work schedule and also the weather here, of course, too. But I don't do a lot of solar imaging during the winter, because we do have a lot of clouds and a lot of wind in the winter. So it's rare for me to do anything. I'm just now getting to the point where the weather's starting to clear up now for us, and which is why I was on the forum this morning and saw the link to this little Zoom call.
We're fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on multiple times a day, and the site has the nickname at home, Solar Porn.
I can usually tell when Franco's having his coffee, because we're both on about 6 a.m. It's like, there he is.
It's a bit like me at lunchtime at work. I'm usually on.
Challenge that I find is, well, aside from the shockingly bad weather we have, is it's so active in terms of posting images. I find it really difficult to keep up. I mean, there's so many posts. I don't know if there's any merit of having a thread per day, or if that's been considered before, but I log on one day and I come back some other day, you know, maybe 2 or 3 days later, and there's about 50 posts. I mean, the activity and the images are just phenomenal. It's hard to keep up, I find.
Oh, well, I find that as well, Michael, because, you know, if I don't keep up with it every day, which I can't, you come back to it and there's like 50 new posts, and it's just, oh my goodness. I've sort of like had three days away on the boat, and, you know, I've come back to the forum, and like the forum is like, I've got thousands of new posts, and it's like, well, that's what, you know, like the reason, you know, that little like button is really good. Because if you don't want to comment on all of them, at least you can like all
Yeah.
of them when you're going through it.
It's a bit like Instagram or something that way. It is handy because I find it's like the quality of images is amazing.
It is
And
phenomenal.
it's hard, I find, sometimes to make a comment that really gives due credit to the, you know, to the effort that somebody has made, the quality of the work, and that it just doesn't sound like something I've said 50 times before. I mean, because the standard is quite phenomenal, to be honest.
Well, yes, I quite agree with that. You know, it is difficult because, yeah, they're all brilliant.
So
So is there any merit in, I suppose, if I'm not the only one by the sounds of it, is there any merit in having a thread per day, so let's say by the 13th of April, and everyone posts their images into that thread? How would people feel about that, or would people feel to keep their thread separate?
I don't know, actually.
Well, I mean, I can tell you my personal opinion. I don't like that, but that's just because if I'm going to take the time to post an image, I really kind of want my image to be, you know, the purpose of for people clicking on that link and commenting on that. And if you just post an image and then somebody else posts an image and somebody else posts an image, it just gets to the point of, I don't know, it's like you don't have enough time to really give anybody any feedback. A lot of times I post images because I do want somebody to say, hey, you should have done this, or you're a little overexposed, or you're a little off band. I want the feedback. I don't want to just, you know,
Lost.
post a picture.
No,
Yeah,
and that's
I
very
agree.
valid comment. Yeah.
So I've got a quick question about image capture and lost frames. Is anybody experiencing lost frames on, you know, SCR files or anything when you taking? Well, I typically run on my 150 scope, so I'm taking relatively high res images. I run for about 45 seconds between 50 frames and could be 100, 120 frames per second or whatever, depending on the conditions and so on. And I use Jenica Astro to capture the images, and it gives me a count of how many. Well, it counts the seconds, but it also counts the frames, and it tells me how many frames are lost. So it's trying to keep up with the camera delivering the data, I guess. And let's say I capture I'm trying to capture 5,000 frames, just as an example. I might lose several hundred or even 1,000 or 1,500 frames. And I'm just wondering whether anybody else has that sort of experience with their image capture software. And I don't know if this is just me thinking the worst, but I switched to AS4 of StackUp 4, and that's when I've started to notice these lost frames. And quite often I run that in the background. So when I'm capturing images, I'm also processing images. So maybe that's got something to do with it, although I try to minimize that, and I'm still losing images, you know, as lost frames, as it were. I even put in a dedicated SSD, so I was able to open my laptop and buy an SSD card and stick it in a spare slot, and that is dedicated to image capture. So I don't have anything else on that card, and I format before the session, so the card's blank, and then I run and capture the images, but I'm still occasionally getting significant lost frames. I'm just wondering whether somebody with deeper knowledge of how these systems work could comment on that. What I might need to change, any settings that I need to change, any priorities that I need to change. Anybody can help. Be great.
Firstly, what's the connections between your Scopy camera and your laptop as far as cables go, and the distance it's traveling and so forth?
Yeah, so it's USB 3, and the cable is about 1.5 meters, and it's constantly in and out of the camera, in and out of different cameras, in and out of the computer USB slot and that sort of thing. And I know that there can be some degradation over time with these things.
Have you tried a new cable? Because Mark always seems to swear by these particular cables that because when people, I don't know which type of tech cables it is, but he always says they make a huge difference.
So
it definitely sounds like a bandwidth issue, like you're trying to put too much that USB at one time. What camera are you shooting with?
So it's a Basler. So it's the 1920 ACA Basler USB 3 camera, which can run up to 150 frames per second. So if I sort of start the session, the card is keeping up with the frame rate, so I'm not losing data. Partway through the session, I might start to see some lost frames, and then later on in the session, I'll see a greater number of lost frames. So it seems to be progressive. So given that I'm not losing frames at the start of the session, then my assumption was, or is, that the camera is working fine, the cable's working fine, the connections are working fine, and everything's able to keep pace, as it were.
I agree. Yep, you're
Sounds more like
sounds as though there's something else running in the background that's starting to run.
Memory buffer or something in there.
Yeah.
Like the RAM buffer.
Well, the burning question, of course, is how much RAM have you got in your computer? What size is your computer? And the fact that you're doing other things in the background is the biggest problem you've got.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but I specified a fairly high spec laptop when I purchased it, and it's been running fine. So I think everything there is okay. Plenty of RAM.
In the software, there is something in the software that you can tell, because I know this with fire capture, and I wish I could find it. I remember Mark Townley telling me, because I've got a problem with fire capture at the moment, which is probably something similar, is that my ASI 174 no longer captures at the 120 frames per second that it should be. It's only doing like about 90. And I remember Mark Townley saying, go to this particular place in the software, and there's like this RAM buffer or RAM something. Right. And he said, increase it so that, and then when I did increase it, it then let it flow through. And I can't remember for the life of me where it is, because I want to increase it again, but I can't remember where it is. But I'm wondering whether in Genica Astro, whether there is something the same, that you've actually got like a limiter on the amount of RAM that it can use, or the buffer, and then you need to increase that buffer to let it through.
Yeah, I believe I've tried all of this. I've been in tools and settings, and you know, it should be running at a rate fast enough for all the data to get through. And as I say, it can be running fine, perfectly fine. It's not as though, if it's something like that, then I would expect it to be all the time losing data, but it isn't. At the start of a session, things are running perfectly fine.
Yeah, but it's then backing up. It's starting off fine, and then it's getting backed up.
Yeah,
and
but
then it's not being able to
Process it.
no, I think so. You know, I can run a complete, let's say, 45-second capture, no problem, no lost frames. Another 45-second capture, no lost frames. And I do that several times, and then you know, on a subsequent 45-second capture, it might lose 2 or 3 frames, which is neither here nor there. But then, subsequent to that, I'll start to see the lost frames building up. So it's like something's happening somewhere, whether some other software is kicking in and taking up bandwidth or whatever. I've no idea. But I've gone into Task Manager and set the priority for Jenica Astro as being top priority. So, you know, what it should be doing is saying, park everything else, focus on that, do what you need to do on that, and then do the other stuff. But again, I've noticed some lost frames, so I'm at a loss as to what to do. I'm
pretty sure Alexandra's right. It's buffering. It's backing it up. It's like pushing a 4-lane highway down to 1. It works for a little while, but then it just backs up and backs up and backs up, and in the end it says, no, no more. I'm going to have to flick those files. Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
How full does your hard drive get by the time this problem starts?
Yeah, good point.
Well, it's a terabyte SSD card, and I might only have used if they're 2 gigabyte files, roughly, maybe.
Oh, they're small.
20 gigabytes, something like that.
Okay.
Okay, very small. Okay.
Yeah, a small proportion. And as I say, every session, once I've finished a session, obviously I process all the images, spend a few hours doing that, whatever. When I'm happy I've extracted everything I need out of that session's set of data, I format the disk, format the drive, so the SSD card is fresh now, ready for the next session. I don't know what formatting really does. Does it set it all the bits to 0 again, or does it just? Yeah, I mean, we know when you delete stuff, it's not really deleted. It's only the headers that are deleted, and all the other data still there and can be extracted again by somebody who knows what they're doing to do that sort of stuff. But when you format an SSD, does it reset everything back to the default settings, even though I select default settings when I do the format? Does anybody know?
I believe the data can still be recovered from a formatted drive. I think one test that you could do to see if it is a buffer is how much of a pause in between clips are you giving it right now? Or are they continuous?
No, it's not continuous. It's, you know, a minute or two to scan around to the next part of the sun, and then they take a few images there and scan around again a bit, you know. So it's not as like an animation. You would maybe do one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, as it were. It's not quite like that.
I actually thought you were doing animation. There's something wrong there. It's a different ball game.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's not as though it's a continuous stream of data and it's backing up, as you say. It's just odd.
Okay.
I can't understand it. I mean, as I say, I've done the best I can. I've tried everything I can think of, and I'm not a computer expert by any means. I'm just wondering. Well,
have you tried different capture software?
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that. Was that you, Brian?
Well, no, but the comment was try a different capture software and see if it suffers. Like I use Fire Capture, and the only time I get drop frames is when I fill my SSD card, or like it's a desktop computer. Both observatories have a standalone desktop in them, so they got more, in my opinion, a little bit more robust than a laptop. But there's an SSD drive in it, but it's only a half terabyte. So I'll fill that in half a session. So then I'll sometimes switch to just a regular hard drive partition. That's when Fire Capture will drop frames. But as long as I'm writing to the SSD drive, and I do use the RAM buffer, I can count on one hand the number of times there's dropped frames in a month. It's very, very seldom. But the other thing I was wondering on your setup is there a chance that something, after you fire the laptop up, is something getting heated or stressed that, for the first while it's working good, and then suddenly it starts to feel a bit malaise, and is something's interfering with all the rest of the processes?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's probably about 4 or 5 years old, this laptop, and it obviously gets some hammering during sessions, handle lots of data. I just don't know. I mean, I've tried diagnostics on the SSD, and it's giving me all the right numbers, all the read-write speeds and all this and the other. I just don't know what to do.
I would definitely try a different software, like try Fire Capture and see whether it does exactly the same. If it does exactly the same, then there's something to do with your computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'd be dying if I was, because we're running what 200 captures for an animation, one after the other. If I started dropping frames, I'd be out of my mind.
Yeah, I mean,
well, I'd be the same. When I am imaging, I'm doing 500 frames every 30 seconds for however long I'm doing it, and I'm doing it from the 432 camera down a 10-meter active USB cable to the laptop inside the house, to a 2 terabyte external SSD, and I'm doing 120 frames a second, and I'm not getting any dropouts. I haven't had any dropouts. I just don't get any.
Yeah, exactly. It shouldn't happen, and that's the annoying thing. And it didn't used to happen. The only change I've made is to load AS4, but that could just be complete coincidence. Probably is.
Well, no, it's not, Stu.
Okay.
So just don't run auto stacker while you're capturing.
No.
It's a no-no. That'll cause it for a start.
Yeah, but yes. Sorry, Ralph. Go ahead.
I suspect that you need to get the doctor to have a look at your laptop.
Yeah.
But just do one thing at a time. So take the laptop in and get it cleaned up, and try that, and then move on to the next one. I had an issue last week where, stupidly, and I ought to know better, and I said to Peter, it's sharp caps the problem, but I didn't narrow it down. So I kept on doing every conceivable thing, from changing cables to cameras to auto stack it to Pix Insight to whatever. And then lo and behold, in the end, I got back and I thought I was running the latest version of SharpCap, and I wasn't.
Huh.
Peter said, no, that's old. I said, no, rubbish. What are you drinking, man? So, but we went back and had a look. Yeah, and I'd missed a couple of upgrades. And sure enough, it had become corrupt.
Okay.
Downloaded the new one, absolutely spot on again. But I was getting a lot worse than drop frames. That wasn't the biggest issue. But yep, I went straight past the obvious, which is against everything that I was ever trained to do, and just discounted it. But in the onset, I said it's SharpCap. So a week later, It was Sharp Cap. So, but I kept doing stupid things like changing two things at a time, and you know, which again was against my training. I guess out of frustration, but yeah, I'd start. It's not going to cost much to go and get the laptop to the computer doctor and get it cleaned up. Particularly if it's 5 years old, stuff in there
that's like 45 years old in dog years.
Yeah, yeah. So do that and go from there. I don't think it's your cabling. I don't think it's your camera. So it really only does leave the laptop. So I'd start there, try another program, Sharp Cap, or probably Fire Capture in your case, because you've probably got more people there that can help you with that than. No, sorry, Fire Capture in your case. I use Sharp Cap almost exclusively now, because I've got the
Likewise.
Pro, and I find it much better now than Fire Capture, but that doesn't matter. It'll point out whether it's a program issue or the computer.
Yeah, I've got Sharp Cap on the laptop, so I'll give that a go. Just see.
Yeah.
See how it runs. Yeah. Okay. No, that's great. Great discussion. Yeah. Thanks for the pointers, guys. Yeah.
If you're running the free version of Sharp Cap, just get the latest download anyway for it. So
yeah,
there's a whole heap of changes every week. I think pretty much every week that's updated.
SharpCap does offer a lifetime license. A lot of people don't know about that. Yeah,
they do. Yep.
Okay.
I was
only
paying
10.
the annual fee for quite a while, and then someone said, "Why don't you just buy the lifetime? Because it'll pay for itself in about 5 years." And hopefully, I'm still around in 5 years. So.
Yeah, well, I have to revisit that.
We on that 10-year plan, Ralph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you guys.
Well, I don't know. I'm hoping to be here for the next Solar Max. Well, I will be. I've got everything set up where I don't have to touch anything. Surely I can roll the roof off well, if I can't roll the roof off, I'll automate that too.
When is next Solar Max? That would be 2035. 2035-ish.
Yeah.
So I'll be 85 then.
Oh, you'll easily make that.
Is anyone going to Australia in 2028 for the total eclipse there?
We'll be here.
Seriously thinking about
I
it.
think
Two of them. Not very far for you to drive.
I think someone just volunteers to host all of us for the
Yeah, who's going to do that?
Well, I
Ralph's
will.
right in the Central Pass.
Yeah, I live right on the centre line.
All right. So it's down to Ralph's then.
Yep.
So we're all coming to you, Ralph, then.
Well, you can, yeah.
You got a big back garden.
Yeah.
We'll bring a tent.
Yes.
Well, yeah, you might have to, but we'll work something out. But if we're coming to Australia, out here will be probably the best place to be. Sydney, of course, is on the centre line, but the chances of that time of the day seeing the solar eclipse in Sydney is very doubtful. Very doubtful.
Is it because of the weather so close to the water?
Yeah.
Yep. Look, I live close to the water, and I look at my weather patterns every day. As I said earlier, the last 6 months has been the worst, and I've really been the worst. It's almost hobby destroying if you weren't so keen. But I look at Ralph's weather each day and each week ahead, and for the rest of this week, Ralph is sunny, and I'm not going to see any sky here until, if I'm lucky, Wednesday, and maybe Thursday and Friday, and then back to some more rain. So Ralph lives in an area, he's pretty much inland, and it's pretty dry and pretty clear skies out there.
So how far inland are we talking?
For me, around about, do you want in miles or kilometres?
Either.
Well, I'll give it to you both. About 350 miles west of Sydney, which is around getting up about 600 kilometres, I guess. Almost in the middle of, slightly north in the middle of New South Wales. I did have a hoofer doofer here somewhere that like we've got to share screens and everything to do that, but.
And it can get really hot in summer and it can get really cold in winter. So just be prepared, because a lot of people come to Australia going, oh, it's always nice and warm there, and in winter it can be colder than you can imagine.
What time of year is the actual eclipse?
July 28th.
July.
Yeah.
Oh, right, it's
Yeah,
in midwinter.
So
It's gonna be
it'll
cold.
be midwinter. Yep. It'll be cold. There'll be no doubt about that. But it'll be fine in the daytime if it's sunny.
I can imagine a lot of winter at -30, so be
No.
careful what we assume.
No, look,
Yeah. Yeah.
Be a
we're
nice
talking,
balmy 20 degrees, isn't it?
we're talking here that time in the middle of the day on a bad day, probably 18,
So
15
British
maybe.
summer then.
Yeah.
Summer here.
Yeah. No, it's quite.
But
We'll be
the
warm.
nights can get cold. I always find it interesting when we have people who are dark sky side who come from the US or wherever, and they come along and they've come along in their summer gear or whatever, and they particularly nighttime observing in winter. We can get down to, we've been down to -5, -10, just west 300 k's west of where I am at the moment, and they really feel it, and they say it feels colder, feels a lot colder than even back where we came from, in winter. So I know you get -18s and things like that, and I've got no doubt that's very, very cold. But I'm just saying, be prepared, because a lot of people, particularly if you're coming that time of year, you'll want to do some things of a night time, no doubt too. So have some warm weather gear with you.
Yeah, I'd love to see those Magellanic clouds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously, our
Stephen,
skies out west of here are unbelievable. And where Ralph lives, you haven't got to go far out of town from where Ralph is, but I've got to travel 300 k's west of where I am here to our dark sky site. And I was there only a month or so ago, and I just can't explain how incredible that the sky, it is like literally black from horizon to horizon. And we call it the big sky out there, because it just feels huge. And then middle of winter, you can just sit on a chair for a couple of hours and just look at the sky and go, oh my God, this is just unbelievable. How lucky are we in that regard? Yeah.
So
well,
Ralph, what
don't
town
even.
are you near?
Sorry, say again.
What town are you in?
Warren, WARREN.
And doesn't that cause me some problems? I'm replying to
famous.
Ralph, and I'm putting Warren, because Warren lives in Warren. Sorry, Warren lives in Warren County. Ralph lives in Warren. Talk about confusion.
Hey, if you guys haven't seen the one post I put up this morning from Gong of that filament that lifted off, and it looks like
I haven't seen
a
it.
boat going through the plasma, and you just see it, lift off, then you just see it wave out like this. I've never seen anything like it. It's really fascinating. It shows well from the Australia site time lapse, and the one on Udaipur, I think that's the town. It was that big long filament lifted off early this morning, and then you see something under the surface just wave out like a boat wake.
I need to see that.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
So something obviously disrupted it then. It'll sort of be like
Big
a magnetic field, or
Yeah.
something's disrupted it. Interesting.
I'm looking at it now. Very impressive.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
I've never seen anything quite like that, to where it disrupts a huge area of the sun. So I'm wondering if we're going to get a report of CME from that thing.
So have you posted that? I'm just looking for it now. I'm
It looks
intrigued.
best when it's running at the faster.
Can I share
like
my
the
screen?
10
I can show
frames.
it.
And it pretty much
Yeah,
is
share it, yeah.
face on directly towards us, center of disk.
I sent a request to share.
Yeah, I've just seen that.
Where did you post it, Warren?
Yeah, I'm just looking for it too.
Which site were you looking at?
Oh, I just went over to
Oh, here
Solar
it is.
Chat.
That's where I've gone to.
Okay, so watch that middle filament.
Yeah, but
Here it goes.
Oh,
And
what's
see
the
it
header?
spread out.
Yeah.
What's the header? What did you post it under?
that's
I think
almost
this
like
is
a
10
mortar
frame.
wave, isn't it?
Every 10 minutes.
No. What did you
Yeah,
post
because
it
I'm
under?
trying to
What's the
find
heading?
it too.
I can't find it either.
Oh, he
Oh, let's
posted,
see.
here it is.
I
Boat
think in the
Lake
chat there
eruption.
now.
Ah,
What did you
There.
post it under, Warren?
It's the
oh yeah, there it is.
diaper. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's just a
mine
little bit down, Ralph. Just go down
right
a little
there.
bit.
Yeah, but what's the header?
Boat wake.
Boat Lake eruption.
It almost looks like a Morton wave to me.
And then it's fascinating to watch it spread out like that.
It is. I'm sure it is something like a Morton wave.
I wish I'd been awake and we'd had clear skies.
Wow. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Great. Anyway, we're coming up to the hour, and it's lovely to have spoken to everyone, and it's been a really interesting chat and really enjoyed it. So thank you everyone for coming, particularly those from Australia, that it's an ungodly hour. We always feel honoured when you turn up, because you make so much effort to come.
We bow to you for doing this. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
really.
absolutely.
And it looks like Franco is just about to join.
Oh dear.
You let him in then and say
Yeah,
good.
just say hi to Franco.
Who? Oh, Franco.
Franco.
Hi, Franco.
Hi, Franco.
Hey, Franco.
Hey, Franco.
Goodbye, Franco.
Hey there.
You can watch the recording, Franco.
Yeah, we were.
Sorry, we were watching the parade of the Yukon basketball team that won the championship, and so totally forgot. Sorry, guys.
It's all right. Nice to see you.
I talked about you, Franco.
We're just drawing this to a close anyway, so it's just coming up to the hour. So we were just about to say goodbye to everyone. So,
Well, at least I see you guys.
yes, hi, Franco.
Thanks for the pictures from Neef.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Take
Okay.
care, all.
Alexandra, we hope you get horribly spoiled on your wedding anniversary.
Yes.
I already have. We've had 3 days
congratulations.
away at the boat, so
Very nice.
we've been very happy.
How many years?
Pardon?
How many years?
29.
Wow.
Okay,
All
so
right. Cheers, everyone. All the best.
Take care.
Take care,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Guys.
see ya.